Hi, folks. It's Eric Johnson. I'm glad you're with me today. I'd like to speak to you a little bit about God, and in particular, four facets of God, the topic of God, and that is there a God? What is God? Where is God? And who is God? All very good questions for people that may be seeking and wanting to have more answers in their studies. So, if you will, this will take about 10 or 12 minutes if you wouldn't mind listening and maybe jotting down some scriptures. And let's begin. Is there a God? Virtually every person in the world asks this question. Some people say there is no such thing as God. Others firmly believe he exists, and others don't seem to really know, and they don't really care. Is there a God, and have you asked this question? Let's explore the answer. As humans, we have learned that in our material universe, every cause has an effect that is greater. Buildings don't fall without a cause, planets don't spontaneously pop up in the heavens, and the universes don't just appear out of the blue without a cause. You see, our universe as a whole is a material effect. Therefore, the universe has to have a cause. But we know the universe couldn't have caused itself, and we know that our universe isn't eternal. Therefore, it must have had a cause that is not material or natural. Thus, our universe must have a supernatural cause. But why would a person say that God is that cause? When we look into the universe, we see that it is huge. Astronomers tell us it contains over 100 billion galaxies, and in each of those galaxies there are hundreds of billions of stars, sometimes even trillions. The cause of such a vast universe has to be virtually limitless. There is no material force that could cause a universe like that. There has to be an all-powerful supernatural force to bring such a universe into existence. God is the best answer. Furthermore, we would expect the universe to be a jumbled mass that's got no design, no order if there wasn't a God. But instead, our universe is extremely complex. It's well designed. It's a system made up of many different parts. The physical laws governing our universe show some kind of brilliant lawgiver had to be behind its design. When we look at nature, we see complex plants, animals, insects, which all exhibit intelligent design. Therefore, we can correctly conclude there is an intelligent cause of our universe, not a mindless random process. In addition, the fact that humans are moral beings points to the existence of God. If humans had evolved from mud over millions of years, there would be no explanation for morality. Rocks and dirt have no sense of right and wrong. Amoebas don't think it's unjust to steal. Worms have no sense of moral obligation, yet humans do. The logical answer is that the supernatural intelligent creator endowed humans with a sense of morality that came from God. Where would God get morality, someone might ask? Well, the simplest and best answer is that it comes from his very nature. He is good, he is true, and he is just. And everything he does or thinks is necessarily good and right. Goodness or rightness is godlike. Evil or wrong is against God's nature. So when we look at all the evidence from our universe, we can see there must be a first cause, which is a supernatural, intelligent being who endowed humanity with a sense of morality. The most popular book in the world correctly recorded it when that book said, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." Genesis 1:1. Now let's move into what is God? People talk about God all the time, but what is God really? Nobody has ever produced a picture of what he looks like, and for that matter, how do you know God is a he? If we can't touch or see or hear God, how can we know what God is? The truth of the matter is the vast majority of humans have wondered what God is. You might be surprised to know that the answer is simpler than you think. God is a spirit. I know, you might think thanks a lot. That doesn't really help because I don't really know what a spirit is. So, what is a spirit? Most of us think of a spirit as like a ghost or a see-through apparition, but the concept of spirit is much simpler as well. A spirit is simply a mind. All humans have a spirit, a mind. It's the part of you that does the thinking, the part that decides where to go, what to say, how to act. That's your spirit. Your spirit couldn't have evolved over millions of years of nature. No natural process can produce a spirit or a conscious mind. You received your spirit from God, and since this is true, it shows us this about God. Only a thinking being could create other beings that create. Only a spirit could create people with spirits or minds. Humans are made in the image of God, Genesis 9 verse 6. They have a spirit like their Creator. The Creator is a spirit. He is the ultimate mind. He's the personality behind all creation. He's the mind who knows everything. He's not a mindless life force. No, instead, he's a person who thinks and acts. His thoughts are always more holy than humans, and his motives are always right. But he is a mind, a person who has chosen to create other people to love and to form relationships with. He doesn't have a physical body, but we can see that he does have a personality and a mind that we can connect with. Next, let's talk about where is God? We can go to the zoo, we can see all kinds of animals. We can use a telescope and see millions of stars and galaxies. We can use a microscope and see tiny cells and organisms. But what can we use to see God? Is he in space? If so, can we see him with a telescope? Is he so small we need a microscope to see him? Where is God? That's a great question. To find the answer, it's not as complicated as some may think. The best and most accurate information we have about God comes from his Word, the Bible. God tells us that, in one sense, he's everywhere. The inspired writer David once asked God, "Where can I go from your spirit, or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend into heaven, you are there. If I make a bed in the realm of the dead, behold, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me." This is in Psalms 139, verse 7 through 10. The scripture also says, "The eyes of the Lord are in every place, keeping watch on the evil and the good." Proverbs 15:3. So, in one sense, God is everywhere. Since he is the Great Spirit, he doesn't have a physical body like humans have. He can be omnipresent in all physical places at the same time. There is no way to run away from God or some place where God can't find us, and that's exciting because there's no place that we as humans can go to be out of God's reach and his help. In that sense, God is everywhere. In another sense, however, God is in heaven. Heaven is God's spiritual home. Heaven is not high on a mountain or deep in the ocean. It's not at the edge of outer space. In fact, it's not a physical place that we can touch, see, or smell in a regular sense with our physical senses. If we could look with spiritual glasses and see the spiritual world, we would be able to see God in heaven right now at this very moment. In God's Word, we read about a preacher named Stephen. He was being murdered by stoning for teaching about Jesus, and he gazed into heaven and saw the glory of God and Jesus standing at the right hand of God. God was always there. It was just Stephen and the others couldn't see him. When God allowed Stephen to see the spiritual world, he could see God in heaven. So, since God is spirit, he can be in every place in the world at one time. And he can also be in his spiritual home, heaven. It should be the goal of all people to live our lives in such a way that we get to live in God's spiritual home, heaven, with him forever. And finally, who is God? You know, people have asked that question for years. Who is God? Some people say that God is a life force that drives the world. Others, they say that God is a personal being. Still others believe that God is made up to control people with something like religion. Who is God? Let's explore that question. When we think about humans, we think about their personality. This person is kind, that person is mean, this person is shy. What do we mean by personality? There's something inside each person that does the thinking. It's the part of us that decides where to go, that determines what to say and how to say it, and how to act. Who we are. Many people refer to that part of us as our spirit. You see, the human spirit couldn't have evolved over millions of years from nature. There is no natural process that can produce a spirit, a conscious mind. Humans must have received our spirit from something other than nature, and that's where the concept of God fits in. Only a thinking being could create other beings who think. And only a spirit could create people with spirits and minds. Humans are made in the image of God. That means they have a spirit, a personality like their Creator. The Creator is a spirit. He's not a ghost or transparent apparition, but he is the ultimate mind. He's the personality behind all creation. He's the mind who knows everything. Though he doesn't have a physical body that we can see, he does have a personality and a mind we can connect with. The picture of this personal God is found in the record of his loving word, the Bible. Through his word, we can learn that God is a person who loves his created people. He cares for humans. He wants them to achieve greatness. In fact, we learn that this is eternal God is kind and merciful. He's forgiving, he's righteous, and he is just. We also learn that he desires to form a relationship with each and every human being he creates. Since he made every person in his own image, he loves each person, and he wants to be loved by them. Isn't it time you began to form a relationship with a person in your life who cares more about you than anyone else? Your Creator? So this is the end of some thoughts about God, and the credit for this text goes to World Video Bible School, which I've used it for, and I hope has blessed you and to a little bit better understanding about God and who he is. Thanks for listening. God bless.